Hello and welcome to the Unofficial Controller Podcast, your weekly gaming podcast, episode 193. An interview with the newly knighted Sir Ashens. This week joined by RGT, and as I say, special guest Ashens, YouTube, an all-round entertainment god, to smile sweeping the village hall after the dog talent show. How's it going, Sir Ashens?
I'm all right, thank you. It really sounds like you're saying serrations, which is amazing.
Well, you know, in honor of your world's strongest knife, I feel like this could be when you're Lord of
It's on
somewhere.
brand.
Maybe you're Lord Ashens of serrations. Maybe we could do that for you. I'm
Oh my
happy
God.
with,
That's
with
the dream. Oh, yes.
You've joined us, and we feel honoured because you are struggling with the Chinese flu, aka COVID. Hopefully, you've kung fu chopped its throat at the door, and we can help you through this. I don't know, as the UCP is known for helping people through illness, probably pushes them into it. So hopefully, no relapse at the end of this.
Fingers crossed. But if I do, I won't tell you because I'll be too ill.
Just wave at the camera, and we will make the rest up. I will be you for the show, and then RGT can ask me questions, which I probably will fail to answer. RGT, how are you?
I'm absolutely marvellous. Thank you very much.
The unfortunate thing is, for an audio show, what they didn't realise is me and RGT sat down for the pre-call and we were both wearing the same jacket. Which
we were, yeah.
Which looked like a North American lumberjack version of the Chuckle Brothers. So I had to disrobe quickly for some reason. He wouldn't get undressed. No doubt he's wearing nothing under that lumberjack shirt, which is a thought for all of you in the Discord. Let's get stuck into it quickly, as we say to Sir Ashens, or Lord Ashens of Serrations. What have you been playing?
Something sharp, no doubt. No, I've been playing quite a lot, in fact, of Baldur's Gate 3.
Oh, the bigger boys game.
Yeah, I've been kind of, really bloody ill. And so that's all I've been doing. I've already completed it once. I thought usually when I complete something, that's it. I won't play through it again. I was a bit ill and thought, I know what I'm doing with that. So I'll play through it again and be the evil Dark Urge character thing and give in to all the dark urges and see what happens.
What do you think's the darkest thing you've achieved so far in your dark run through?
It's pretty easy to just accidentally, brutally murder and eviscerate everyone on this. All you've got to do is, like, as soon as he gets a dark urge, you're getting like this bit of context. Says, imagine what would happen if something bad happens. And you click on that and it goes red and you go, oh, you killed all the orphans and ate them. You know, the worst thing I've done so far is probably slaughtered an entire camp of completely innocent people and druids. For some goblins who I didn't even like.
You slaughtered them like animals.
Yeah. It's very much different to my first playthrough. Let's just say that.
Were you like a very godly man on the first playthrough?
Yeah, first playthrough, you always try and do what you would want to do. So you try and sort of do things well and be decent to people. And it mostly works out in Baldur's Gate 3. But Baldur's Gate 3 has that great game design of, it should be subtitled, there's always something, because there bloody is. Every 5 minutes, something's going wrong. Somebody's had an argument with somebody else. Somebody in your bloody group has just revealed that they're actually, I don't know, a werewolf made of Lego bricks or something, and you got to deal with that. Oh, God. It's so good. There's always something happening. And when it sort of wraps up itself towards the end, it almost feels like a bit of an anticlimax, just because it has to take off all these little subplots and tie everything up, and it almost feels like, not much left now.
How many hours did you put in it?
Yes, I don't actually know. Awful lot more than I normally would.
That's the sort of talk of an addict, Lord Ashens, if I may say. That's the sort of thing an addict would say. I don't know.
I don't normally have much time to sort of play games that take a long time. And I've been able to play Baldur's Gate on and off quite a bit. And now, obviously, we've had a week of pretty much nothing but it. Good God. A huge amount of time for me, 90 hours.
Wow.
That's massive for me. Like, absolutely massive.
That's the sort of thing I dream of, being able to give 90 hours to a game these days. Is that all that's...
for years.
Well, embrace it.
Yeah.
You've got sick note. You can be in bed, pull the duvet up.
I've just realised probably half of that is just it running in the background because I've gone off to feel ill and forgotten to close the game.
So the world goes on.
Yeah, it may not actually be quite as impressive as it sounds. It's probably just like sitting on the bloody menu screen or something. But never mind. We can
Has
dream.
there been any other games during your malaise?
No, that has been it. I was playing the first time I had COVID, I played the Excavation of Hobbs Barrow, which is fantastic. Brilliant point-and-click folk horror game. And I thought, I'm going to do another point-and-click this time. It just didn't kind of come around. Instead, I've just been doing Baldur's Gate 3, really.
It's a bit point-and-clicky, though. Are you playing it on PC?
A bit. I am, yes. Yeah.
Okay, right. Well, we turn to RGT, and I ask you, RGT, what have you been playing?
Finally finished Spider-Man 2. Got the platinum on that.
I see. It's like that, is it?
You're not platinum, do you, George?
Don't look at me or talk to me, even look at me. Don't look at me now.
I'll take that as a no.
I've finished it. I just need to do my Venom powers. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay. Well, that's your homework for this week, Dan. So...
Thanks, Dad.
Yeah, absolutely. I was agreed with you at the first part of the story. I didn't find the first part of the story quite as strong as the first game. Second half of the game, though, the story really ramps up. Absolutely loved it. Brilliant game. Definitely one of the best games I've played this year. Just for that sort of movie cinematic experience of the game that they give you, I think is superb. Very well done.
It nails that for sure, but in the climactic sections, you're meant to be, they're hitting all the right notes for you to be feeling emotions for the characters, but I wasn't really feeling the emotion that I normally would feel from a Sony first party game.
No, yeah, maybe.
There's been times where I'd have broke down and sobbed like a small baby in my mother's arms. I didn't feel that this time, and I was confused as to why, because I saw all the ingredients go in the cake, but then when I ate it, I did a little bit sick.
No, that is true. Yeah, I think even though it's, there's parts of that game that should really make you think and think, it didn't quite trigger it that way. I'd thought of it more. It was more of that action where the story was going rather than the emotion. The action parts and the characters I thought was absolutely phenomenal. And I just got to say, I still think it's the best looking game I've seen on the PS5. Really good, runs so smooth. Didn't notice any frame drops, anything. Absolutely brilliant. And the distance, with your backdrops that looked absolutely awesome. So, yeah, absolutely loved that. So I was a bit lacking after that because you play a massive game like that that's in that cinematic role, and then you finish it and think, what am I going to play now then? And it's hard to match it. But me and Mrs. RGT started you're going to love this, George, started a Stardew co-op playthrough together on the Switch.
Oh my god, so incestuous.
Yeah. So because she sort of got into Stardew, and so we thought we'd have a little game together where we shared a farm and
on the Switch. You've got your Switch. You're like Bert and Ernie in bed. I don't even.
Oh no,
know
we're playing split screen. So
you're doing it on the big telly.
Doing it on the big telly, yeah.
So you don't take her to bed and plough a furrow or anything like that?
No, it's just all on the big screen. Anyway, moving on, I played the game. Oh, dear.
I wondered if that would fly under the radar like a stealth bomber, but see that I pinged on radar.
Can you stop drinking coffee before we record? Anyway, I played the game.
If you want me to be dead.
Unpacking. I played that little game, Unpacking. I played.
Yeah, we talked about that in the week, didn't we?
Yeah, my daughter's been playing it on the PC. She said it was really good, really enjoyable. So I played through that, and that's a nice little game actually. That is different, and that pixel art style. And you think a game where you're just unpacking things would be just a bit boring, but it's not. It's a little story tied to it, and you sort of go for their life and understand where they've been, and there's little nods to things you're unpacking them and where you put them as to what's happened in their lives. And that was
nice.
Nice relaxing little game. That was good.
What was that on?
PS5. I think that's part of the PlayStation Plus pack. So you can just, if you're a subscriber, you can download that.
Brilliant.
Another little one I played was one called Dark Source, but spelled SAUCE.
Yeah.
There's
a game about an accoutrement. It's a game about an accoutrement.
That's just a little platform game. Nothing much to it, but that's
hang on.
to the end
is there any source or no source here?
Well, you're a pig.
Of course. Is this? Are you heading towards a bacon sandwich? Is that what the story is, or?
No, you're just making it through platform levels and trying to miss out the bad guys and make the platform jumps and miss out on the axes and all the bits and pieces and your aims to get through all the levels.
Any idea why they might have called it Dark Souls?
Absolutely no idea. But it sold it to me, so it worked.
Don't let that get in the way of a good game.
No. Then we went carrying on with our live stream of Vice City, me and Bald Border. So that's been going well. We're sort of at the stage now where we've run out of missions and you just got to do your business missions just to trigger the last few acts on that. But been loving that, and the community's been joining in and chatting to us every Tuesday on that. So that's been great fun. And I know that version, that definitive edition, yes, it was bad when it released. I know it's sort of made of the mobile ports and bits and pieces, and if it rained, you could not see an inch in front of your face. But now it's all patched and that.
Does it look all right?
It's good. It's just like a really high-res PS2 game, almost with a little bit of ray tracing in, and I quite like that look because it still gives you the nostalgia of the PS2 or Xbox, whatever you played it on, but with the modern feel, modern controls.
Let me stop you there. I've had a tingling downstairs. I want a hidden. Have you played Aquanaut's Holiday?
No.
I want a hidden gem out of you.
You want a hidden gem, do you?
Mumsy, hit the theme tune. RGT, yeah. He's like the Lone Ranger.
Hey, with us, Stuart.
Riding on down.
I remember
bringing hidden gems to me. The only person that we've ever had on that recognised that was Boone. What an absolute hit. That's why you're Lord Ashens of Serrations.
Always with the deep cuts.
T-shirt idea.
I've just rocked up and I arrived at Punchline Circus A and then I realised I had a ticket to B and C as well. I don't even know what's happening anymore. We normally play a little guessing game. RGT, give us the little sneaky hints along the way, my friend.
Well, I think you probably might think you're going to get this from the developer, but I don't know if you will. The actual developer is Insomniac.
Ooh.
But it was published by Game Trust Games.
Give us a year. Give us a
2016.
Year. Ooh.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Do you like video games, podcasts, and reminiscing? I'm actor, video game writer, and total sweetie pie Connor Savage McCabe, and on each episode of Call Me By Your Game, I sit down with a guest for an intimate look at a special game from their past. Did you and your dad beat Spyro the Dragon over the holidays? Or was Halo 4 the one thing that united your roommates during your senior year of college? Stories like these are what Call Me By Your Game is about. From video game content creator Janet Garcia to Hades voice actor Courtney Vinay's, I interview wonderful comedians and game industry friends about these memories. Check us out wherever you get your podcasts, and maybe someday you'll call me by your game.
Is it Infamous? Second Snow? First Light? No. None of those.
No, nowhere near. This is sort of an action-adventure Metroidvania game. The old saying, Metroidvania, but yes, it is.
It's a 2D game?
Yeah.
2016. It's not that sort of Sly Cooper spin-off, is it?
Nope.
Oh, I don't know.
I stumped you this week. You normally guess it.
Off air, I'll give you a throat punch for showing me up, but you'll get over it.
This is a fantastic little game called Song of the Deep.
You little harlot. Yes, you pulled us in and you slapped us down.
It's you play as a little girl whose father is a fisherman and he goes missing, and you have to go and find him in a little submarine. And I know it sounds strange, but it is that Metroidvania where you're exploring levels, going through, you can start up, and it's lovely little graphics what they've done. It's very unusual for Insomniac. But you can find extra parts to improve your sub. You have puzzles to solve as you go through, and eventually you obviously have to find your father. And I can't even remember how I even found this game. It's unfortunately digital only. There's no physical copies, but it's on PlayStation Store, Xbox, it's on Steam. But I remember to start playing it, it just hooked me right in. It's got that lovely little sort of indie style graphics. It's got the great music, sound effects. And I know I say this every time on a hidden gem, but it is something different. You know, you're in a submarine, you're under the sea, and you just want to explore, and you find enemies, and you can come back if you're not strong enough and fight them. And it's just brilliant. And why are you laughing, George? Here we go.
Down where it's wetter, under the sea.
Oh, no.
Just heard it, and my brain went full Disney karaoke on you.
Well, I think this is quite an unappreciated game. Very underrated.
Now you've said it, I do have a mind image of it in my mind, and yeah, it's the very definition of a hidden gem.
Yeah, it is. And like I say, you know, like I just said a minute ago, being Insomniac as well, it's almost like they got between games and thought, should we just do something completely different, or
a palette cleanser?
Project? Yeah, and they just dropped this, and it was brilliant. Absolutely loved it. So yeah, if you, like I say, PlayStation Store, Xbox, Steam, Song of the Deep, give it a go. If you're in the Discord and you played it, let me know what you think, and yeah, just let us know, because
how much was it?
I think to download, I think it's around about £10 on all stores. I think it's around about £10. I think, but definitely worth it. Definitely worth it. It's not too long, but it's enough there to want to see through the story. So
okay, all right. Well, with that all said, Lord Ashens, what do you make of this hidden gem segment? It was framed by Boone, but then obviously RGT does the bulk of the carrying.
I was expecting Neil Morrissey to come in at some stage. But,
wow.
Yeah, that sounds quite a good game, to be honest. I don't think I've heard of that, or if I have, I've totally forgotten about it. Certainly one that flew under the radar. By the
it does go under the radar a lot, especially being an Insomniac title. It's a lot of people you speak to haven't played it, but like I say, I just found it by accident, I think, and I absolutely loved it. Brilliant little game.
It feels a bit of a shame that these sort of palette cleanser titles that they put out kind of do go missing in that way, because every single person that was involved in some of the bigger titles is actually here cleansing said palette. All that artistic creation and gameplay innovation has gone into that game. But it's just sort of slipped under the radar because it's not boxed, and people like you can't put it with their other rotten bits of plastic on the shelf, nor I.
Yeah, exactly. I suppose that's a lot of the reason why it probably goes under, but I think that'd be, as a physical release, that'd be a brilliant one for the Switch. And as you say, George, perfect for on the go.
Perfect for on the go. Yeah, take it anywhere you want. Well, I'll tell you what, let's skip to the news. We scoured the very darkest regions of the internet to bring you the latest stories. First up, this is just absurd. Rockstar Games co-founder studio have announced their first projects. The studio, titled Absurd Ventures, is the latest endeavor by Rockstar co-founder and story writer Dan Hoosier. Having hired key Rockstar Games veterans as they start up alongside Mr. Hoosier, Laszlo Jones, wildly known for his work on the Grand Theft Auto in-game radio stations, was a founding member. Michael Unsworth, the vice president of writing at Rockstar, left the company after 19 years to join Absurd. He currently serves as head of story and creative management. Adam Tedman also had 19 years at Rockstar and has since joined Absurd as head of marketing. Two trademarks spotted by GTA Forums member Dead as Disco, who says Disco's dead, this guy does, are owned by Absurd Ventures. Both American Caper and A Better Paradise were filed at the end of this year. A few weeks ago, Absurd Ventures COO told Variety, "We will have more announcements in the weeks ahead about projects that are already in pre-production and production on those IP universes." The first IP, American Caper, is a new graphic novel. It will be illustrated by comic book artist Simon Bisley. The British artist is best known for his work on 2000 AD comics. This new IP centers on two normal, badly damaged American families in a world of corrupt business, inept politics, and bungling crime. Sounds like my afternoon's work. The website says first coming 2024. The next IP is called A Better Paradise. This will be a 12-part audio fiction series. Said radio was dead. It is set to be an existential suspense thriller, and it will be co-produced by Q Code Media. The website says first story coming 2024. New information on both of these new IPs will be shared in the months ahead, according to a post by Absurd Ventures. Are you interested in Dan Hoosier's new company? Let us know in the Discord. But in the meantime, gentlemen, Lord Ashens, what do you make of all this?
So it's not a video game company then. It's more traditional storytelling.
They present themselves as an entertainment company that they're going to tell stories through the medium of film, graphic novel, audio drama, and games. So they're saying that they're going to cover all bases.
Interesting. It's interesting they've gone in for the graphic novel and audio fiction, because they're both, I was going to say cheap. That's not true. Is it relatively cheap when you compare them to, some sort of TV series or a film, or indeed a video game? So it's quite sensible, aren't they? Starting off with the smaller stuff and then build up from there, I suppose.
My understanding for what they're doing with these is that they are building 2 universes through the medium of these rather, as you say, startup ventures in terms of a graphic novel and an audio fiction series that's going to build a world in which they can tell more stories, possibly in a gameplay way. Aren't they the entertainment moguls? And seeing as we've got an entertainment mogul on, you think this is a nice way to... Yes, you, Lord Ashens. Is this a nice way to build a universe in which you can tell stories? Would you love this privilege if you could have it?
Can be done. I suppose it's a difficult one, because I always go into... I've never been into universe building. I'm more sort of storytelling, if you're with me. So it's like, here's a story you want to tell. That one's done. If there's a universe created, great. But, that's not first on the agenda. So it's often a bit of a worry when somebody's like, I'm going to create this framework and this universe, and then we're going to tell stories from within it. It's like, have you got a really good story to start with? Have you? No, don't tell me the dog ate it. Have you actually got something to back? I'm sure they have, because they're not daft. I mean, they're very sort of seasoned industry professionals. So hopefully whatever comes out should be good. But it's interesting that they've done one as the graphic novel and one as the audio fiction.
Yeah, I thought that. Apparently it's 2 different IPs and 2 different universes that they're building. The existential suspense thriller is one, and then this other... I mean, it sounds like a fun story. Badly damaged American families in a world of corrupt business, net politics, and bungling crime. It's laugh a minute, really.
One for the kids.
Yeah, they'll love it. Yeah. Hey, look out, Paw Patrol's finished. Don't worry, American Caper's coming up. That'll keep you quiet. Fascinating set of circumstances, but I wish them all the best. Hopefully, I mean, one has to imagine they couldn't come out the gates with a GTA clone. I think everyone would expect them to do that. So, I guess they've had to build something different. They've left all that tech behind, the Rage engine, all of that, and they're starting again. I guess this is how you start to build a universe.
Interesting. It's harder to get people's attention with audio fiction drama. So, that'll be interesting.
I imagine episode 1 will be the most downloaded audio fiction drama in the world, in the hope that they will leave some nugget in there about their GTA killer, which they're probably not building, but most of the universe will click on in hope that they are.
I noticed one of the people who went over was their the head of marketing from Rockstar has gone over. So
yeah, that's an interesting.
I think they'll know how to promote it. I think. Yeah, that's obviously very central to what they're doing. So, well, because let's face it, if you want to make a universe and tell lots of stories from it, you've got to get people interested in it. And if you want people to be interested in something, you've got to advertise it. So, yeah.
Then you've got to sell the cups, the flamethrowers, and the thermos flasks.
In that
order. RGT, what's this next bit of news?
Sony Go K-pop.
Wow.
Yeah. Around 6 months ago, Korean media reported that Sony was sniffing around the region's local talent in order to shore up content for emerging studios. In the past few weeks, it signed deals with Stellar Blade developer Shift Up and MMO maker NCSoft, both of which were predicted by business outlets MTN. But according to the original report, the Japanese giant was planning investment in a trio of other studios, most notably Black Desert's Pearl Abyss, Lies of P, and Neowitz, and Summoners Wars Com 2 US. At the time, media framed it as PlayStation's response to Microsoft's unprecedented acquisition of Activision Blizzard, but it doesn't seem particularly out of character for the firm. It's been scouring emerging nations like China for some time. For example, additionally, earlier this year, it announced the India Hero Project, which will see it nurture and cultivate local teams in the area. Obviously, nothing's been announced yet, and it's perfectly feasible negotiations could fall through. But seeing as we've seen deals with Shift Up and NCSoft announced this month, it's perfectly possible more may follow, with the industry increasingly finding itself embroiled in an acquisition war. Locking down content from overlooked outfits could be one road to success for the firm.
What do you make of that, RGT? Does that seem like a wise business move to go looking for some of these nuggets that might have been overlooked when the big heads were getting scalped?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I think at the moment, with the ridiculous sums in which some of these studios are going for at the moment, I think it's maybe, do you go, for the big studios, or do you try and find these, my phrase, hidden gems of studios, which are producing some work, and maybe look in areas where no one else is? Because, I mean, people are paying top dollar for studios at the moment, so why not? Do you know what I mean? Give it a go. You never know. There could be some good games coming out of there.
I mean, historically, the West has used Korean developers to do all the hard grind. Indian developers do the hard grind. I know Forza, as an example, a lot of the cars get punted over there for them to work on the models and such. No doubt it's an unfortunately more cost affordable way of doing it. And if you've got to process 600 cars in a very short space of time and you need them all to be tickety-boo, then you need them to do that. So quite often it's been, I don't know, I don't want to say the sweatshop of the games industry, but it's nice to see them actually getting the recognition and their games coming to the forefront. Lies of P as an example, where these things are getting recognition on their own for being good games.
Yeah.
For them now to be recognised by someone far more intelligent than me at Sony that probably recognised them probably 18 months ago or even more, and to pick them up and incorporate them, I think it should be applauded. There's some good stuff there, and quite a shrewd move, if I may be so bold. Obviously, if you blow in 70 billion or some other ridiculous amount on Activision Blizzard to swoop up the COD team, and you've really got to start being snappy with your money if you don't have Bill Gates' spare change down the back of the sofa to go on a shopping spree with. So, yeah. What do you think about this whole industry consolidation shtick, Lord Ashens? Do you think that we're all going to end up just staring at one multi-platform box and we pay our subscriptions to play their games? Or do you live in...
What they want.
It is what our Lord and Masters want. Yeah, that's absolutely right. You're one of them now, so you're in this.
I wish. It's interesting. I mean, investing in something like NeoWiz makes perfect bloody sense, because Lies of P has kind of come out of nowhere and everybody's loving it. And whatever they make next is going to have a number of eyes on it, and it's probably going to be pretty good. So, makes sense. But it's just that worrying homogenization hamburger machine of, we will acquire studio acquired, studio makes game, we have fiddled with game has failed, we put them on old IP, closed studio, and it just goes round and round again, doesn't it? I mean, that's more of an Activision thing, perhaps, but I
think they're all guilty of that in some way, shape, or form. You're absolutely right, and that's probably Sony less so. But then again, they shut studios like I don't know, shut doors in my life. And what's left out there? You talk of this sort of strange homogenization of the whole industry where we're kind of paying, we're going to end up, is the future we're all just doing the Netflix of games?
They keep trying it, don't they? I'm not entirely sure it's been particularly successful so far. He says, looking at his Stadia. Oh, wait, it's gone.
Yeah.
I'll just look at my on live. Oh, it's gone. Yeah, it's a difficult one. It worries me a bit as well with this. I really like the idea that they're actually putting money into, emerging nations, as you said, where there's people in India and China, etc., potentially making good stuff. You're like, we'll put some money in there. Yeah, brilliant. But then comes the whole ownership thing as well, isn't it? There should be a way for them to sort of reach a global market and succeed better on their own, as opposed to having to go through the gatekeepers. But especially when the gatekeepers are not to be trusted,
Well, that's the thing. I see like a bit of a disturbing trend. I've spoken about this before on air, and I was speaking to someone about movies, about it generally. Are big entertainment houses or studios like Sony and Xbox, are they scared to take a risk? Movie studios as well. They have a lot of information about Star Wars, so they can quite easily make another Star Wars because they know they can see, based on previous stuff, they can see a return on another Yoda hat or a Darth Vader pair of socks. So we'll make another Star Wars. That's safe. Some guy knocks on the door and he says, "I've got this idea for a new movie," and they say, "I'm not interested." Do you think that's an element of what's going on with the games here? Like Sony?
Oh yeah, I think games are always trailing the movie industry and a little bit behind this. And Disney is such a perfect example of this at the moment, where their latest film, Wish, appears to have been almost fitted together by sort of groups who have just gone, this bit was popular, crank that up. This bit of that film was popular, crank it up, all like that. And they've ended up with this film that nobody likes and is apparently properly not good. And I mean, for a major Disney release, that's almost unheard of. I mean, people like some Disney films more than others, but when is a Disney film bad? It's never really bad, is it? And this one is apparently just sort of, like sort of 4 out of 10 substandard.
Where does Herbie Goes Bananas fit into this strange eclectic mix?
11 out of 70. Obviously. Oh no, 70 out of 11. Sorry. Oh, Bob's by the Herbie fans there. But they've now basically come out and said, "Oh yeah, well we're just going to have to invest in quality, not quantity." And like, oh shit! So you're going to make good things? Wow, you geniuses! You know, how has this happened where everything's just been sort of pulled apart? It's the difference between cinema and content in this sense. It's just viewed as content. It's something to put out, get people to watch, get people to buy the merch. If you manage to get any sort of art and story through, you're kind of having to force it through a bit. And I think they're looking to try and kind of do the same thing with games, but I'm not sure it's really going to work.
Mumsy,
because
change the website, Mumsy. We don't make content now. Lord Ashen said that's no
hashtag content. Yeah, it's that thing of games are a little bit more involved, aren't they? You know, you can get away with your latest FIFA is always going to sell 1 million, and probably a Call of Duty or something, although people seem to be backlashing on the last one of those. So, but it's a worrying trend. You can't keep sort of forensically pulling things apart and sticking them back together, then wondering why nobody's interested in what you've got. You've got to take risks. The other problem that the games industry, the big boys, have been moving towards, and thank God we've got all the indie stuff on, Steam and the other platforms, is the classic bloody thing of everything's got to make all the money. That's it. I know this movie's going to cost $150 million, but it has to make us $1 billion. You're like, well, why don't you make 20 films for like $7 million or something? And you're probably going to lose money, probably lose the whole lot on half of them, probably sort of break even on another 5. One of them's probably going to make you a fair bit of money, and one will probably go stratospheric and then give you, we've got a new IP, guys, and we can do new things with it. Because, the audience doesn't know what they want until you show it to them, obviously. Yeah. So you've got to make these things, but they won't. They've just been doubling Disney again, actually, isn't it? Just doubling down again and again into bigger and bigger projects, and then sort of fitting them parts of one thing into another. And now people have lost interest, and they're absolutely pouring money down the drain.
They didn't expect their little zombies to let them down so much, did they? I think they expected us to just lap it up like a fresh meal in front of us, but it's a meal that they've made out of yesterday's leftovers, and it tastes gross. Yeah.
I mean, the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe thing, it really felt like a really natural and well-done endpoint at the end of Endgame.
It did.
And then you kind of, we'll have the Spider-Man or whatever as maybe an epilogue. But now it's like, oh no, it's continuing, but everything's a bit different, blah, 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 blah. Nobody's really that interested now. It's just getting diminishing returns again and again and again because people have now lost interest in this whole shared thing. I mean, they kept it going for like a decade.
They did, which was phenomenal.
These things do come to an end. And
do you think that as an example, and then to cross that across games with we see things on the horizon, as you say, movies are almost the leader for where the games industry is going. Are we going to see them keep sort of threshing these dogs until we beg them to stop? What's the point that makes them go, yeah, enough's enough? Because to use the Marvel scenario, have they actually started to damage that original 10-year run with this carry-on?
Well, it's the thing of when it starts really losing money. Simple as that.
I guess now.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, a company like exactly, yeah, a company like Microsoft, etc., have incredibly, unfathomably deep pockets and can eat a lot of loss, etc. But even the relatively large second runners can't have massive games that fail very often, So a couple of those, and they're probably going to have to think of something else. Or what will actually happen is they'll probably just get bought out by somebody else for the IP or something. And who knows?
And he gets a fresh pair of stockings stuck out on the street one more time.
Yeah.
He's got one. Star Wars has got one last radio in it yet, for sure. Remaking the original movies.
Oh my goodness. Imagine that. No, don't imagine that. It's depressing.
No, don't.
You heard it here first. This last bit of news. Lord Ashens, would you grace us with your delicate tones?
Certainly. Atari has announced... Sorry. Atari has announced that the stupendous compilation Atari 50, the anniversary celebration, will be getting even more games via several free content updates. The first of these is launching next week on December the 5th and will bring 12 Atari 2600 titles to the collection, comprised of prototypes, homebrews, and official titles. Atari 2600 homebrews? You really want to get into that?
It's really
Don't Google that, kids. Yeah, blimey.
CFAX.
Yeah. Future planned updates have been confirmed to include even more games, along with additional concept art and behind-the-scenes interviews with industry legends, expanding the already excellent timeline from the birth of the arcade title Computer Space in 1971 to the death of the Atari Jaguar in 1996. As for which games might be included, Atari has left some cryptic hints in its Twitter post, two of which may well be basketball and steeplechase. Wow. But we're personally hoping for classics like Joust, Pitfall, and Frogger, along with maybe a few licensed gems like Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back, Indiana Jones Raiders of the Lost Ark, and E.T. the Extraterrestrial.
Now, Lord Ashens, you quite rightly framed the 2600 as, in your sort of throwaway comment, as being a little bit... She's a little bit antique now. Do you think many of the cool kids, the younger generation, are going to be asking for Father Christmas to bring them the Atari 50 anniversary celebration in their stocking?
Oh, God, no. I think the problem with nostalgia for video games in general is, I think, and this is a theory we'll be able to test over the next 10, 15 years, I honestly think that it's very hard to play games that were made before you grew up. Because when you grow up, you make all the concessions as the best there is, blah, 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 and it always seems good to you. Things made before are difficult. And I find the Atari 2600 quite difficult. And I did play some of the games when I was very young, but it was a Spectrum I had, which obviously had a bit more oomph to it. So I never really go back into play 2600 games at all. And I'm so shocked at their inclusion of homebrews, because most of those were genuinely... Yeah, there was a reason they weren't licensed, There's a lot of articles you can read on the internet. As a family-friendly podcast, I will not even be touching on that.
Coin a phrase, they were maybe a cheese and onion Poundland sandwich.
If that is pornographic, then yes.
Clear search history.
Oh, don't you have a macro for that? Come on. But I'm sure it will do all right amongst older people. I don't really know who this is for. It's odd. But Atari, we say Atari, it's more sort of the necrotic remains of Atari, which just license things out now, really, isn't it? So it's just like, we own these, let's try and sell them,
It makes me sad that even though we're going to go from Computer Space in 1971 through to the Atari Jaguar in 1996, I guarantee you they won't be having any Atari ST bangers on there. They'll forget that machine ever existed.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what they'll say? I'll just play the Amiga version. It's got slightly better music. Man, we want Ranorama. We want Time Bandit. We want.
Did you have an Atari ST?
Yes,
brother. That's two people plus Terry Blow that's now emigrated to New Zealand. There's 3 Atari ST owners, and we've now all met each other. This is wonderful.
Oh, the ST was the big computer when I was at school for some reason. Then things moved along and the Amiga became the computer because the ST sort of died off earlier, didn't it? So
it sadly did. I had an ST when everyone else at school had an Amiga. It was me and Terry, we were fighting a rearguard action with No Second Prize, that motorbike game by Ubisoft.
So good.
There was a lot of The way that controlled with the mouse, you're the only person that's even knows what the hell I'm even talking about, Lord Ashen. I'm very grateful.
Absolutely. Superb game. And the Amiga version was given away on the cover of the last ever edition of Amiga Power magazine, if I remember.
That
which
is
a totally
actually
pointless bit of trivia, and I don't know why I said that.
But because it was about no second prize, and what a great thing to give away at the death.
Ah, so good. Or was it Vroom, the sequel to? No, I'm sure it's no second prize. Oh God, I've forgotten everything.
Vroom was not what it should have been. I got Vroom excitedly, and then realised that compared to Jeff Crammond's Microprose Grand Prix, it was basically
apples and oranges. Yeah,
it was a filth. Did Vroom not become F1 on Mega Drive?
It did, I believe. Yeah. The thing I didn't. I'm not a big racing game guy, but I remember in Vroom being amazed when if you were overtaking somebody and you just hit or sort of ran over their wheel with yours, you could leap into the air and maybe jump people. And I was like, okay, this is amazing. Then I discovered if you do it twice, you break all your axles. Damn,
wow.
That seemed like really good fun, but I do understand why they didn't let you do that, but.
When we were a younger age, some of these, I look at my kids when they play games. I mean, they're full teenagers now, but they as a child, you kind of extract humor out of a game or enjoyment out of a game in a way that's completely unorthodox, the way it was actually designed to be played. I kind of guess we do that now, but I always find I sit down and kind of follow the narrative more. As a child, I'd have been, I don't know, trying to glitch break a bin or something ridiculous. I don't know what.
This is the YouTuber Dad Nerd Cubed is the absolute master at this because he's such a creature of chaos and he always attacks any game from such a weird creative sort of direction, doing something absolutely bizarre to break it or something you wouldn't think of doing normally. So he has such fun with these sort of sandbox and open games that I just probably wouldn't, spend the sort of time with. It's being able to tap into, I think, that sort of slightly chaotic energy of I'm going to see what I can break and then build things and then break them and see what happens,
He's channeled his inner 8-year-old.
Exactly that. Yeah.
Well, that brings us to the end of the news. Community corrections. Did we miss anything? Do you have an opinion or take on the news we missed? If so, RGT, how would the collected masses get in contact and say, George, you don't know what you're talking about. You've never played a game. And Lord Ashens should be signed the show over immediately.
Well, they can let us know all that information at questions@unofficialcontrollerpodcast.com. You can DM us on Instagram or Twitter, or you can do what all the cool kids do and join the Discord that we don't talk about.
You see, we've stumbled across an issue. When we pump the Discord, which is totally free, Lord Ashens, and say everyone should go here, you can talk to us, you can continue the show, you can talk about the things that you've heard, we find people don't want to because they feel like everyone's doing it. So when we play it down low, pretend that we're not even that bothered about it, we don't even mention the Discord, all that sort of stuff, they flood in.
Speaking of Discord as well, I've got an apology to make.
A community correction, good sir, or an apology? What have you done?
An apology. I forgot to announce October's comment in the month.
I thought you'd abducted one of the members' children or something. This is nothing. This is inconsequential.
Wow. Anyway, getting back to the comment quickly. So the winner of October was Marathon Gaming with Scott as community manager. Bo Beloba picked for us.
What's he won?
Well, he has won either a UCP T-shirt or a £10 voucher for either your PS Store, your Xbox, or your Nintendo. So, Scott, DM me, let me know if you want a T-shirt or if you would like a £10 top-up. Either way, no problem, my friend. And he's very good, Scott, because he's always pumping us on the tube and the as the cool kids say.
What?
Instagram.
He's always
on the London Underground.
On the tube. What?
Yeah.
How do I sign up for this? What?
Yeah. He just stands there with a sandwich board walking up the day with UCP written on it.
Wow.
Yeah. So he won comment, and that was for basically just being a big fan of the show. And he basically put to a new joiner of the show. He just said, "Welcome to the world's #1 gaming community Discord, my personal ranking system." So because he got the Flattery Award as well, he's won himself either a T-shirt or a £10 top-up. So keep pumping us, Scott. We really appreciate it, mate. And
get the Ponsonbury credit card out. I'm a Lord as well, Lord Ponsonbury. Let's send him both. It's Christmas.
Yeah, why not? Then I'll get you send me a size for a T-shirt. and let me
Mine?
know what.
Schmedium.
No, not you.
Oh.
Schmedium.
Somewhere between a small and a medium. Well, basically get me a large, all right?
Get you a Marge.
Won't be the first thing I've smeared across my chest.
Yeah, that is nearly Christmas. So we'll get that for you, Scott. And I will just also say, sorry, so now we want to move on. But the challenge accepted was won this month by Ginge. So well done, Ginge. And the challenge was the first level of Sonic 2.
Hang on. What's he won?
It's just bragging rights. The challenge accepted. It's run by Digital Monkery. He does it every month. We had the Tony Hawk's challenge, and this month was Sonic 2, Emerald Hill Zone. How quick could you do the level?
Shouldn't Ginge win something?
He can do if you want him to win something, but the others haven't won something who have won, so it was just for bragging rights. Plus, you're going to bankrupt me.
Didn't I try and give something away last time, and you said no?
Probably. But I think 9 times out of 10, you're trying to give away my car or my Mega Drive or something or other you're trying to give away.
Send Ginge your wife, Donna.
Okay.
And get her to deliver a UCP fridge magnet to him.
Has
he got one?
Would he mind picking her up? Because postage is quite expensive at the moment. So if he wouldn't mind.
I think he would.
Okay, done. And then... sorry, Mrs. RGT, I didn't mean that.
Poke some air holes in for Donna so she can...
But anyway,
I'm not a monster.
20 seconds. He done Emerald Hill Zone in 20 seconds, which is not far off the world record, which is very, very impressive.
I don't think I can even turn the Mega Drive on that quickly.
Yeah. There was 22, two of them on 22 seconds, 2 on 23. I mean, it was amazing. Harry done 20 seconds.
Send him a fridge magnet, god damn it.
Yeah, they were all really trying for the whole month. That was brilliant. It's a great little concept, quick and easy little challenges that don't take long. Everyone can join in. And so this month's is Mario Kart. How quick can you complete the 7 laps of Baby Park, which opens it up because you can play that on GameCube, Wii U, Wii. And so there'll be a table coming out soon of who can do the quickest 7 laps on there.
Do they have to confess the format they've played it on? Because no doubt one of these scoundrels is going to find some sort of glitch or loop that wasn't on this version, but is on that version. If you play it on the GameCube version, you can get Bowser to sort of freak jump over I don't know what it is, a Wampa Wampa or something like that. And then all of a sudden you've done 7 laps, tickety-boo, 2 seconds flat. Yeah,
I think most people take their screenshots and say what system they're playing on, but just bear in mind if you're playing on Switch, if you're playing Grand Prix mode, it won't give you your time. So that was what Digital Monkey said, to just be aware if you're playing on Switch, don't play in the Grand Prix mode. You'll have
don't play in the groin.
Grand Prix mode.
It's good advice for life.
Yeah, don't play in the groin pre mode because yeah. But anyway, sorry, that was my notes for that. So yeah, carry on.
Right. Well, we've got the green flag from you, so we push forward.
Marvellous.
That's the news done. We've come to I always find this odd because I say the sandwich, but you're the filling in the sandwich, Lord Ashens. So to call you a sandwich, you are like ham and cheese. I don't know what you are. You might even be pigs under blankets at this rate. You know, you're a grade A sandwich filling as far as they're concerned. Let's get stuck into a little bit about you. Where do we start? I mean, first joined YouTube in 2006. What sort of a heady Wild West? You went out and stuck a claim down in the Wild West and said, I want to build a gold mine here if you don't mind, please. And one would imagine it was probably a grind for your first 100,000 subs. What happened?
There was, my God, there was no gold in those days.
There was an unknown platform as well, so you didn't really know what's going to...
Yeah, I started off doing videos that you had to download from like WeSendIt.net or something, WMV files, because there were no, video sharing sites. Very quickly they came along, so of course, always backing the winner, I went with the Google Video. It closed down 8 seconds later when they bought YouTube.
Winning.
Yeah. Hashtag yay. So I thought I'd better start a YouTube channel. So that was relatively quickly after the site opened, I suppose. There wasn't much on it in the early days. Mind you, I say that as in very early days because, my God, that took off quick, that site, as I think we're all aware of. And it just kind of, I basically did a video I did a couple of things just to amuse myself, like a video of my pet rabbit pretending to explode.
Is that video still online?
Almost certainly. I never delete anything generally.
Oh, wow.
I think the first video on my channel is me doing a skit about using action figures based on corporate sort of attitudes towards open source software, which is, the real grandma pleasing humor.
That's the sort of thing that makes the algorithm sing, Lord Ashen.
This is true, yeah. That's how PewDiePie started, we all know. Then I did a review of a knockoff Sony PSP, the Pop Station, which somebody spotted. Basically, we were on this internet forum for an old video games journalist, and somebody spotted this thing. They were like, "Oh my god, look at that!" I thought, "Oh, that's funny. It's only a £5." So I bought it and just improvised this sort of video showing what it does, basically, on my dad's old sofa.
Is that the brain one?
Oh yes, still the same one.
It's still the same one. That is amazing.
Yeah, so there's very little of it left now, but it does exist.
I have a question about the brown sofa, because I do distinctly remember an episode where you kind of tried to upgrade the suite, and you took said brown sofa outside, and I do believe there was an uproar about there was Sofagate, and then you had to go outside into the wherever you dump a sofa, Lord Ashens, and then bring that back. Is this some sort of weird fever dream of mine, or is this
completely wrong? So well done.
Community corrections is going to be a buzz this week, Lord.
There was just a gag once where basically I just literally took one part of the sofa because it was modular. You could take it apart into various pieces. It's not anymore because there's only one bit left. You can't be modular on your own. So I took one part of it out to a nearby field and just put it out in there and filmed like the last little bit in it. And then I think the gag is, so anyway, now that's done, where the hell am I? And then I zoomed out the camera, which was actually really zoomed in, to reveal it was in the middle of this overgrown field. And that's quite a good gag. Then I had to carry it all the way back home and didn't tell my dad. But
hang on, there's ownership issues here. Is this your father's sofa?
Oh, it was. He's dead now. He can't have it. It's in the will.
That'll
I didn't kill him.
Moving on. Here's Stingray.
Anyway, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, I can hear the sirens. No, joking aside, it was my dad's old sofa he used to have in his living room with his old wallpaper and stuff. And basically, when he didn't want it anymore, which wasn't that long after getting it, we had to get rid of it. So I gave a couple of bits to friends. They have sadly been lost to time. And I kept like 2 bits, I think, 2 or 3, and they've just sort of disintegrated over the years. Now there is only 1 piece remaining.
What do you think you're going to do when it finally shuffles off the mortal coil?
I'll have to get a replica made or something. Oh God, imagine the money you'd have to spend to get something to look like a ratty 70s sofa. Oh.
Yeah, that's be a prop house. There's got to be a prop house somewhere that could just make that happen instantaneously.
People say about, could you find one of the old ones? Well, I doubt it, because I don't think it's properly fire resistant. So a charity shop probably wouldn't have touched one of those for 25 years.
Yeah, they can't sell, can they? It's the strange thing about that. Okay, well, with the Sofagate put to bed, it was all a fallacy, much like JFK. It was some sort of weird conspiracy that I must have dreamt.
I did occasionally use a different sofa in my office, but that was purely logistical.
Okay. It wouldn't be the first time we've had a fever dream on here, Lord Ashens, and I don't somehow feel it'll be the last.
Oh, no.
So your YouTube channel hit 1 million subs in 2015. How did that feel? Was that something you celebrated, or did it click by and you were just getting a KFC somewhere randomly, or did you watch it come home?
Oh, we definitely watched it come home because my friend had an Android phone and it broke and wouldn't connect to the network anymore, but it would still connect via Wi-Fi. So rather than throw it away, I said, tell you what, give it here. And what I did was plugged it into the USB, so it had permanent power, put it on that. There used to be like a live page you could look at. I can't remember the name of it now, which would just tell you exactly how many YouTube subscribers a channel had, any channel. And this is back when they would show you the exact amount. And it would just keep going. And I just literally blue-tacked it to the wall near the computer when I was getting close. And so then, like, every day, you just look at it occasionally and go, getting towards 1 million. Getting towards 1 million. And then as soon as it went over, yes, I knew immediately. So I don't think I did, because I think it was the middle of the night. But, it's the principle.
So no, okay, you let it sail by while you were sleeping. Did it feel like do you attach some sort of significance to that? Was it a happy moment, or was it something that was just one of those things on your journey?
Oh, no, it's a great moment because, it's ultimately kind of meaningless. It's just a number, but it's a very big number and it's a very round number, and humans like these things. So, yeah, that was a very cool thing, especially because YouTube then sends you the big old play button.
Oh, yes.
For the million as well. So that was bloody cool. It only took me about 40 years to actually get them to send it, but they did.
Fair play.
And it's one of the early ones, which you never see come up for sales. God knows what it's worth. At probably 18 pence, maybe 20. So it's like a big metal thing in this massive frame. It's unbelievable. It weighs, I can't remember. I did have to weigh it because I wanted to put it on the wall in my office, but the wall will not support it.
No,
It's so bloody heavy. Yeah, because it's a really old building. Literally Tudor, so the walls are like horsehair and urchin spit or something. So it has to sit on the floor because I actually can't mount it to the wall safely. It's so heavy.
So it's
the modern
up
ones
at
are far
skirting
sleeker.
board height.
Yeah. Not that they invented skirting boards when they built that building, but yeah, it cannot be mounted on that wall. And if you do, you have to use those massive things that you use to mount televisions to a wall. Seriously.
Wow.
One day it will be on a wall and then it'll fall off and I'll be sad.
Well, is it breakable?
God, yes, it's glass. Yeah, it has a big glass front.
Does it?
Yeah.
Like you say, you do not see those anymore. You see all the kind of gold and metal looking ones, but you don't see the clear ones.
Yeah, they're the real old school boys. Yeah. The modern ones make a lot more sense because they're so much easier to sort of deal with, but it's very cool to have one of the big old heavy bastards.
So a question I have, 2006, obviously you've been messing around with the files that you had to download, and you obviously felt like you were trying to establish some form of online presence. What backed that? What made you think, yes, I need to keep pushing videos onto the internet?
It was the fact that people liked the first one, which I didn't kind of expect, because the first one was just shown to 13 people on Internet Forum. I thought that would be the end of it, obviously, but it got picked up by Beta, the big old Friday creative newsletter, and 70,000 people watched it.
Wow.
What? In fact, I think that the 70,000 might have even been before YouTube. I think they had to download the file or something. And it's back in those days, that was an unbelievable amount of people.
That's a scary amount of people.
Yeah.
Do you think you conspire to let's say you've got 1.6 million subs? I always think there's a 1% of your community that are very involved and very interactive with what you're doing. So let's say there's 100,000 now. I'm not very good at maths. I'm from Lincolnshire, so I've probably had to take my socks off to do these numbers. How does it feel that you could put out a video tomorrow commanding your army to appear somewhere and you would assemble with 160,000 troops ready to rain hell down?
I don't think that would work. No. It's very hard to get people to do something, especially if it was physically going somewhere.
So basically me, my mum and a Tupperware and a picnic blanket, we would be there to support you.
Exactly, yeah. and maybe Dennis, and that's it, really. Yeah.
Okay.
Unknown Dennis. Yeah.
RGT, are you coming or no?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
That would make us his generals.
Battlefield generals.
First.
Put the video out tomorrow, please. Now, on the way in to this section, I've joked about the sandwiches and we've talked about all that sort of stuff because you have kind of formed a little bit of a niche for yourself where you would put things in your mouth that not even I would consider. And here, what I'm talking about is a Poundland chicken sandwich. You took your life in your hand. I know, I've seen the canned chicken. I've seen the 20-year-old. I've seen all the... For me, the most dangerous and scared I ever was the Poundland sandwiches. I have a thing about chicken. It terrifies me. In its winged form, plucked, cooked, and in a sandwich, I'm never too sure about it. It's a bit too dinosaur-y. Yet you happily munched on these.
They were fine. The Poundland sandwiches are quite good. They're all made by the same company that does all the supermarkets, I believe. I think they used to be quite bad, but I don't think I had one back in those days.
I think for me, I think the video got me. What was it the 50-year-old drink, like the foaming drink, rather than
that was the Cresto, wasn't it?
It was like drink. You said it was like drinking bleak, and I could actually me and Mrs. RGT watched that in shock because we were like, I think he has actually hurt himself this time. So I could just hear you in the back going,
that was bad. That was not the best. But I survived mostly. Yeah.
So did you used to use? Am I right in thinking you used vodka to rinse your mouth out?
Yes, I always do that, which I am about 99% sure is pointless. But it's one of those things. You feel like you want to do something,
Yeah.
One thing I would say, Lord Ashens, is you sold me on that concept. And if I ever now was going to eat, I don't know, maybe a dog feces, I'll definitely wash my mouth out with vodka. Now you're telling me that wouldn't save me from a tapeworm. I'm actually quite concerned.
I mean, it takes the taste away. That's the best you can hope for, I think. If it does do anything else, then
it's not going to kill a microscopic tapeworm egg. You're going to have to deal with that yourself. Okay, that's.
My God.
Well, we had to cover off the eating and drinking here. We had to cover off the eating and drinking. Now, there's so many different ways we can go with you, sir, and I want to be respectful of your time. But you've appeared on TV. You've appeared on the BBC online comedy called Ashen's Tech Dump. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Oh, that was fun. We did that for Hat Trick Productions, who had basically a deal. My understanding is they had a deal with BBC Online Comedy. Yeah.
What else have they done? Because I remember
was that the little rabbit.
Yeah, that's the boys. Yes. Oh yeah. Have I got news for you? Is their big one?
Yes.
Ah, yeah, of course. Yeah.
But a lot of other stuff over the years. Yeah.
What came of that? And was that like a natural progression of your YouTube and your other content where you felt like that was a good evolution for you to go to that space?
Yeah, it's just an opportunity that came up, really. In the early days, you would get things like this, where sort of old media would go, oh, this person seems good at something. Can we do something that sort of works in the new media space, but has that kind of a bit more production push behind it, which is what the BBC were after, I think, with their online comedy. So, co-written by a man, mostly written, really, by a very talented man called Andrew Metham, who also produced. We did Ashen's Tech Dump, which was 6 episodes, I think. It was sort of split into 2 parts, oddly. There was like a load of episodes. We did like 4 episodes, then another 2. Probably got the numbers wrong there now. But first 4 episodes were directed by Al Campbell, who you may recognise as Barry Shitpeas from whatchamacallit? Screen Wipe. Yes.
Well, I was gonna say. Obviously, prior to Ashen's Tech Dump, you had some on-screen appearances with Charlie Booker on Screen Wipe. Do you think that sort of prepared? You're saying no, that didn't happen.
No, not really. No, no. I did a little bit dressed as Mr. Nosy Bonk for it, but that was it.
So that didn't kind of pepper the behind-the-scenes people for your acceptance in, as you call, old media. Do you find some resistance to a new, young, sexy upstart YouTube show star like yourself? Do some of these people get their backs up a little bit? Do their heckles come up when they see you walk in the door?
Probably. I honestly can't remember. It was that sort of industry where it's very sort of closed off anyway, because there's not that many opportunities, so people tend to hold on to what they've got, which makes sense, perfectly honest.
Yeah.
But then we ate them alive and their industry collapsed, so there's that.
So you're not sat above a rotten carcass on an African plain, mocking this decrepit BBC creature, pulling its rotten eyeball out and feasting on it, and then swilling out some vodka to make sure you don't get a tapeworm.
And then getting really sad because they don't do late night radio anymore.
There's not a lot going on, really, on TV, is there? I find that it's a place I go to be periodically disappointed because I'm expecting something highbrow, and normally what I get is Nigel Farage eating a kangaroo's arsehole.
That's an image. How do you tell them apart?
I don't think I can.
Yeah.
We've talked about the TV. What follows TV for a lot of people is movies. You went your own way. You decided to make your own. Tell me about, I mean, I don't want to keep you all day, Lord Ashens. You're a man that probably wants to flick a couple of coppers in my way, ruffle my hair, and say, what a sweet chap, and be on your way. But
Hang on, you're wearing a hat.
That's to hide my lack of hair.
Embrace it. Hair is for the weak.
No, got it. Yes. But the thing is, I haven't had a haircut, so I look like an aged 70s wrestler that's probably an alcoholic as well. RGT, you're laughing, so it's obviously true.
We need to put this one on YouTube.
Hopefully this never finds its way to you.
Oh, yes, it will.
Tell me where the genesis point of actually thinking, do you know what? I want to do a movie. It was the natural evolution for many people back in the day to get to TV. Theatre, darling. TV, movie. What was your journey like towards the movie scene? One that you dragged yourself towards on your own back.
Yeah, one of those things, if you see an opportunity, you have to take it. But you also have to wait for an opportunity, which is frustrating. So basically, it happened at a party, weirdly. So we did effectively sort of an advertising series, or what you'd call it, advotainment. That's a term I've invented that there's probably a better example of. Basically, we did a web series called The Proxy.
For Alienware.
That's it, by Dell Computers, who were doing the Alienware stuff at the time. And my God, they wouldn't let us touch their bloody computer. We only had one. I really want to turn it on and see what it was like. They almost had like a guard near it at all times, you know.
You could do a web series, but you're not touching the Alienware.
Yes, exactly. Actually, really close to how it was.
Really?
It was really odd. Yeah. It turns out they only had one of these things because they hadn't gone through mass production yet. So no wonder they were bloody worried about it. You know, they did all sorts of things. You know. Yeah, we did that. Went very well. And it was the first time I worked with a man called Riyad Barmania, who was the writer of it and also the director. He comes from a proper sort of filmmaking background. And we got on really well, worked on the script a bit together and stuff. And then that sort of the end of that year, there was a party at the production company, and I was chatting to him and said, look, all this crew you brought on and stuff, like they're actual like cinema crew, you know, they really know their stuff. And like you have a filmmaking background, could we do a film? And he said, yeah, we could, but how on earth would we get it, funded? Because like, there's crowdfunding. That'd only get you like half. And there's some money around from Google for stuff at the moment. That never happened again.
They remember what you did to their movie platform. You killed that, you get nothing.
But that'd like get you half. And they were like, oh, hang on, that's two halves. Let's do the maths, you know. So yeah, we just made it happen. Basically, we did the crowdfunding, and the sort of half the money came from that. Half came from we say it was Google money, but via the production company for their original channels they had at the time. The Multiverse being the one we had there, which was amazing. But being YouTube, they lost interest and changed direction every 3 months. So that's what happened to all that stuff. But the channels ran for a year. So we had a really good year. Actually, we made all sorts of content, just absolutely crazy experimental stuff and animations and all sorts of bits and bobs.
Did you feel like
an astonishing year?
During that period, do you think you felt like a sixth former with a joss stick? That's the kind of sort of experimental phase I'd imagine where you just...
I see.
Yeah, everything... Since I've lost my hat, Lord Ashens, I don't even know what's happening anymore. You kind of throw everything at the wall and see what sticks.
Yeah. We're a little bit more canny than that. I mean, they wouldn't put Google's money towards anything that obviously wasn't going to be very good, you know.
Right.
But again, you could, especially if you were doing stuff that was produced quite cheaply, you could be a bit sort of experimental with it. There's a lot of interesting stuff on the Multiverse channel. And what was the animation one? Hoo-Ha, which is... astonishing that they managed that, because that's one of the most expensive things you can bloody do, animation, you know.
Animation, yeah. To get a second on screen must cost thousands to actually do.
Oh, yeah, depending what you're doing, absolutely, yeah. But, yeah, that was a great year. But that was when we made Quest for the Game Child, yeah.
Do you look back on that fondly?
Oh, massively, yeah. I remember us finally completing it. It was a very quick run there, because obviously we didn't have that much money, and, you know, time is very it's very literally money in the bloody film industry. So it all got released, and yeah, it's just going up. And we sometimes talk about this to this day, just when it was uploaded, and it went live exactly the same time we started playing the film at the premiere. And it was live for anybody to watch for free on YouTube at the time. So it was just amazing to go and watch the film with all the crew and that, and then afterwards sort of go and see sort of what the reaction was to it. And I think the prevailing wisdom was at the time, nobody watches anything on YouTube that lasts for more than 5 seconds and doesn't have a roller skating cat. And we end up with like 1.7 million views on a feature film. Something I'm not sure, I must have said this before somewhere, but the company, the production company, also had its own like advertising network on YouTube, and that was a thing. And they pushed the entire film on the channels on its network as a pre-roll ad. You know, when it comes up with the skip ad thing. Yeah. So people sat down and like going, oh, here's another bloody ad for wine gums or something. And they're like, and it starts playing an entire feature film. And when we looked at the stats, the retention for the entire film, it was an hour 38, something like that, was 20%. So 20% of people who were served what they thought was going to be a 5-second ad for something watched the entire feature film for free, which I don't think is something you will ever be able to do again. And I'm pretty sure the company only did it because they knew that. And it's like, this is a bizarre experiment. We can have fun with that. But yeah.
I'm actually intrigued by that whole scenario. It's not something you're expecting, is it? And certainly to be delivered in.
It did happen again, I believe, when Lego Movie 2 was coming out or something. They put the Lego Movie out as a pre-roll, like officially. Was that a thing? There was something like that.
Oh, the original movie was a pre-roll to the 20-second advert for Lego Movie 2.
Yes, yeah, probably. I think it was something like that. I think it was like they put it out as like a pre-roll for the trailer or something bizarre. But,
wow, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
but if you don't own both the network and the ad part of it, which I don't think you can do now, that would probably cost an absolute fortune, you know, which is understandable because you're using a lot of YouTube's bandwidth for your ad to show an entire film, you know.
Well,
God.
I try to write my own theme tunes, but you've actually written books too. When will this multimedia empire of yours stop? And is there any media that you don't think you'll ever touch? We talked about animation. Would you love to do an animated feature?
Animated feature, I don't know.
Shorts, series, something like that?
I've done a couple of animated shorts. I've animated stuff, very bad stuff that looks like an old 8-bit game myself in the past, mainly because nobody else would. Animation. The problem with animation is it takes bloody forever, especially if you want it to look half decent, you know. I think the only thing I probably wouldn't do is music, seriously, because I'm not good with music.
Neither am I. Don't let that stop you.
Well, I haven't. On Spotify.
Best version of Boone you'll ever hear. Don't let me put you in a headlock.
If you go on Spotify, you can actually hear me singing a song about a spider cake, but that's not by any stretch of the imagination a serious musical endeavor.
Okay, let's rewind the machine and talk about the books. What made you decide I'm going to put pen to paper? 3 times.
3 times?
Apparently. Terrible old games you've probably never heard of. Attack of the Flickering Skeletons.
Yeah.
And then you cranked out more terrible old games you've probably never heard of. And
that is Attack of the Flickering Skeletons.
And finally, 50,000 Shades of Grey.
Oh, God. I suppose that's not really a book. That's more of a visual gag, really.
But you put
Amazon
it out.
wouldn't let me have. Yeah. Oh, God. God, I'd forgotten all about that. Christ, yeah. That was fun. The joke, for anybody who's not aware, the 50,000 Shades of Grey is obviously play on 50 Shades of Grey, but you open it up and it's just the phrase Shades of Grey repeated 50,000 times. So it's just a visual gag. You pick up the book, go, oh. Well, I made the mistake on that of just putting it out at the absolute minimum, so I didn't make any money from it. And then it sold like thousands copies or something.
No,
Lord Ashens of Serration, what were you doing?
If I'd only put like 50p on each book, I'd have made I made literally nothing. So stupid. And then somebody complained to Amazon that it wasn't actually a parody of 50 Shades of Grey, because it isn't. It's just a gag. Wow. And then as a result of this, Amazon said, in order to keep it on there, you have to put in the title, "This is a parody of 50 Shades of Grey." I'm like, but But the problem you had was that it isn't a parody, but you want me to say that it is. So I can't do that because I will then be lying to people who might buy it because it's not a parody. So I just had it taken off, and that was the end of that. And copies of it now go for as much as half a pfennig.
Wow.
If I was clever enough a man to know what that was, I might even be able to afford one, but I can't, so I won't. One of the best things that we've turned up about you while we've been searching around the old interweb, and this one speaks to me very clearly because I was a child of the 80s, I suppose. I was born in the 70s and grew up in the 80s and 90s, and one of the things I remember rushing home for around this time of year was Nightmare.
Oh, yes. Ooh,
and
nasty.
I understand you got to wear the helm.
Well, not the helm, because that was nicked, apparently. And
Tragar stole his own helm.
Yeah. Don't blame Hugo, he's innocent.
It's in his summer house.
Yeah, probably. It's on the mantelpiece, dangerously close to falling off. The one we used was from the one they made for Nightmare Live, which is a really good replica. But yeah.
Oh.
Because the original had just gone missing years before, apparently.
So I want you to shatter my illusions, but I also don't, because as a child, teen, I suppose, I would watch this, and I suppose maybe halfway through the first series, I realised that the people sat on the couch directing the Dungeoneer were having a far more visceral and entertaining experience than the guy sort of stumbling around looking at a blue floor for possibly hours.
Oh yeah. So we filmed this sort of latter day version in Epic Studios in Norwich, which is the original studio it was filmed in.
Really?
They recreated the entire setup, even down to having blue screen rather than green screen. Didn't really make any sense because they were digital cameras. Wow. Let's not worry about that. The fact that they did it. And all the old crew came back. It was bloody amazing. But what you don't realise is when you've got that thing on your head, obviously you understand you can't see, but it's a very narrow and long room that you're in, which basically means you walk into the wall all the time.
Oh, no.
Because you can't say, do, every few minutes. Yep.
Was it? I'm sure it was a great experience and certainly one thing that we would all love to have been involved in. But was it a never meet your heroes moment? Or is this one that you take to the grave and go, oh, some nightmare, son?
That's cool. Bloody nightmare, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, that's my thought, but,
Yeah.
stumbling around, being walked into walls, looking at a blue floor is not quite the sort of Tolkien-like-esque journey you thought you were going on.
Oh, I was savvy enough to know it would quite literally be that. That's why I let the others be all on the panel, basically, because all of them are absolutely, it's Dan, Phil, and Emma, and they were all absolutely mad on game shows. Absolutely love game shows. You can trace back a history. I think Phil's been on like The Weakest Link twice or something. They're just mad on them. So I knew from their point of view, they're going to be so into the actual gameplay part. So I'll do the sort of live bit and leave their pretty young faces for the camera while I have a bucket on my head.
Did you feel recharged when you put a piece of meat in your knapsack or no?
Yes, but it's purely psychosomatic.
Brilliant. I was going to ask you, Stuart, you for a while there, you've done Barshans with, if people don't know what Barshans is, that was a cross between your names of you and the chef Barry Lewis. Me and Mrs.
I enjoy that
Argentine,
dynamic.
Yeah, we love Barry Lewis, but we always ask, how did you and Barry meet? Because from your two different areas of YouTube, it's so different and wide apart. It always amazed me that you're a chef and you, but you still get together and do like Will it Soda Stream, Will it Sandwich Toasty?
Will it Soda Stream? Yeah. What an absolute criminal.
Soda Stream and milk and coffee. Yeah. But how did you actually meet and come up with doing these videos? Because they're brilliant, but you're from two completely different backgrounds on the YouTube space.
Yeah, basically, we've both been caught forging luncheon vouchers in Mexico and we're in the same jail. And we escaped together and had to travel across Mexico. And we basically survived
God, I'd love to have to explain that to Mrs. RGT.
No, now you get the truth, I'm afraid.
Yeah. Did he tell you how he met Barry? You're not going to believe it. They're in Mexico.
Yes. You're not going to believe this because it's obvious lies. Yeah. Oh, excuse me. What actually happened was... Oh, excuse me, hang on. There we are. Right, let's try that again. What actually happened was it was a YouTube thing at Comic Relief. Comic Relief wanted to get some YouTube people in to do stuff. I went in and we did a special episode of a series called Ideas Men that we did at the time. And I happened to meet Barry there. And Barry sort of came over and chatted because, he's a very chatty and friendly guy, which is useful for me because I'm quite introverted, so I probably wouldn't have spoken to anyone hidden in a corner or something. But he came over, and plus, to be perfectly honest, we were the only people there who were probably over 25. So it was a bit of a natural mesh. Yeah, we just got chatting. He said, "Oh, we should totally do something." Oh, all right. So I went up to Weston-super-Mare, where he lives, and that is the first time I met him is the only time Barry has ever actually cooked for me.
Really?
And he cooked an oven pizza, and he accidentally dropped it on the floor face down.
What a fraud! You're a fraud, Barry.
And
he wasn't using his
pizza
gadgets.
is the only thing I've had from him to
Wow. What a oh my God.
That always fascinated me how you two actually did meet. I would imagine that would have been something along the lines of meeting at a venue or an event. But
yeah, absolutely. Yes, it was Comic Relief in their London office, which is next to MI6. Which is amazing
really?
when you go there. Yeah, I didn't realise this. And I'm going there, I'm like, this building's familiar. There's a lot of armed guards. I think, shit, me, this is the one. That's the James Bond one. Show it when Pierce Brosnan's in the special boat. And all that. It's actually that place.
No way.
But you don't look at it for too long because there's a lot of people with guns around that place.
Yeah, I can quite imagine.
Now, to swing things back round, you're a Norfolk man. Born and bred?
Yep, that's right, Hunter.
You're Ramo boy.
Oh,
he speaks the lingo. And you've done lots of wonderful things for the city of Norwich, and you are the ambassador for the Norwich Games Festival. Is that still ongoing?
I don't know. Which is probably a sign that it might not be. It's been a bit hit and miss because it kind of disappeared over COVID. It sort of came back this year.
We did OLL, didn't we?
Yeah, they had the testing of the waters on that, and I did another talk. But I don't know what's going on with that. As for now, we'll probably hear next year.
Maybe. I love check your bank balance and see when was the last time they gave you some wages. I think that might be a clear indicator.
I never get paid.
I love the talk you done. What was the one on the where they had to find the gold jewel from that?
Oh yes, hair razor. Yes, that is a hell of a thing. I was reading my bit of
that's fascinating. That
Flickering Skeletons today, which basically that talk was kind of an adaptation of that chapter from the book to see if it worked or not. Just the timing was good to actually try that out, and obviously it did work. So that was all good. But yeah, it's been nice to go back and look at that again. I often wonder about turning that into a sort of longer form video, but I think the talk works quite well. So is there
talk's very good? Yeah, I mean, I watched it online and I loved it. I was just fascinated by it, and that was almost. At first, you think it's almost fictional, and then you realise it actually happened. And where if you haven't watched it, go and watch it because it is absolutely fascinating. And how it's all linked into a book and a game and this prize or so-called prize that everyone was looking for. Brilliant. Yeah, absolutely really good talk.
It's mindly heartbreaking because it's the original Masquerade prize, the actual golden hair, is this beautiful thing made by a real talented artist. And he sort of poured his heart and soul into this thing. And then it ends up being used as the justification for an entirely different person's, is it a scam? Probably. Still don't really know. It's such a weird subject.
Yeah, it was.
Maybe drawing things to a close a little bit here because you are ill and you're also a lord and certainly don't want to spend too much time with paupers like us. But you dragged the BBC to the plains of the Sahara and you picked on its corpse. I feel like you've dragged YouTube to the Sahara and now you're a Twitch man. Now, what's this all about? You're more down with the kids than I could possibly even imagine. 41,000 followers on Twitch. You are
down with the kids. You need to come into chat on Twitch and see that our average age is 87. Yeah,
they're kids to someone, Lord Ashens.
87 decades.
How does that differ from you're very comfortable, if I may say, and relaxed in seemingly every single entertainment scenario you can be put in? You've been instantly upbeat and friendly to us. I'm sure you probably go off stage like Robin Hood in Time Bandits and say, "What disgusting people." But does Twitch bring its own set of challenges that you wouldn't have on your YouTube and your traditional media?
Yes, it's a very different thing to live stream to, do something. I mean, I appreciate that my videos are pretty much stream of consciousness, mostly unedited, but all the same, you still have that level of abstraction from the audience, whereas, streaming, you are straight into it with immediate feedback. I think that's what I like about it. But we do it twice a week, Wednesdays and Sundays. Sometimes between 8:30 and 9 we begin. And it's just been a different thing. I mean, starting off, I obviously streamed on YouTube when it became a thing.
Yeah.
And I did a couple of streams, and then we tried to stream one day, and the technology is not working, because the early YouTube streaming was really hit and miss. I didn't know that. It was just completely dead that day. I was like, I've got this Twitch account that I signed up for to have the username. Let's try that. And just all the systems worked better. I ended up sticking over there to Twitch, which is weird, because if I stream on YouTube, I'll have like 20, 30, 40 times the audience, literally. But there's something nice about the sort of slightly pared back thing on Twitch where we have all the sort of regulars, and we all have a chat, and we have our own. In fact, most of the streams now, I imagine they're about 80% in-jokes, because we've got so many of the bloody things over here.
Yeah, but they're the best ones. You've got to put the time in, you've got to explore the lore, and that creates ultimately a better payoff in the end.
Absolutely, yep. And you can sort of, I was going to say, get away with things on Twitch that you can't on YouTube, which makes me sound like I'm, I don't know, doing something illegal. But the copyright is not quite as hefty on Twitch, so you can occasionally get away with a snippet of music without immediately being shot in the teeth by a sniper. So that means you can sort of approach things from a different angle. And I like making weird little videos and things which just wouldn't work as part of something on YouTube, and there's something we can throw in on the Twitch stream and that. So I get a lot out of it. Plus, and this is probably the most important thing for me, it's the only thing in my life that has any sort of schedule or regularity. So I can kind of orient myself by it a bit. If I didn't do that, I would have literally nothing that was regular, and I'd have no sort of structure at all. So,
what about a bowel movement, Lord Ashens? Or is that sort of your hefty 18th century diet that stops that from being as regular as you'd like?
Oh, that happens completely randomly. 7 times while we've been recording this. There's just no hope, I
was going to ask you, got obviously you got funded for your new film, Turn Back, if no one has heard about this, which is good for me because I'm a Suffolk boy, so it's about the black shark, which we all that was our demon dog of choice when we were younger. Not that there's many others, but
there's a few. But
I live very close to the area where that was quite prominent with the church and bits and pieces. So when are you hoping to start filming this, Stuart? Is it going to be soon, or is it something next year that you're hoping to film? Or
yes, thank you for asking. It's difficult to say at this stage. We need to write it first, obviously, and then there's a lot of other ducks to get in a row and stuff. I have no idea. I'm not even going to hazard a guess. I mean, it's not going to be long because we haven't got the money to like put it off for years or something. That'd be mad. But equally, don't want to rush it. We've managed to raise enough money that we're coming in at from a really good place, so we can do everything properly.
So will you be filming in these sort of locations, regional locations and that? And
thank you for asking.
Yeah,
no, I genuinely don't know. I mean, the current thinking, and this might change, is so it's always too expensive to film outside London because all the crews are always in London. And
Oh,
if you
my
then
goodness.
move outside London, yeah, some Manchester, to be fair, there's quite a few in Cardiff, I think. But anyway, people outside of the major cities tend to be far more expensive, and you can't get a sort of group of people at once, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, long story. So if you then film outside London, you have to have the whole crew travel, and then you have to get accommodation for them. Suddenly, half your bloody budget's gone. And damn it, I wanted that CGI shooting lasers from its bum. But now we've spent it all on humans, you know. So the way we'll probably do it is we will have, like, most of it will be a house sort of interior, I think. So that would be somewhere just outside London, probably. And this is all completely, I mean, we could end up just shooting it entirely, I don't know, in your back garden or something. I genuinely don't know. But that's the current thinking.
That's what he's hoping for.
Yes. Are your rates cheap? Please say yes. And then for the actual countryside and stuff, we'll absolutely go up to Norfolk, Suffolk with sort of a skeleton crew and get some pickup of that and make some other exterior stuff and on it. But anything could happen. At the moment, a lot of films are shot in Germany just because the German government are giving out quite good grants and stuff.
Wow.
Really?
I don't think that'll happen to us, but yeah, because you get nothing over here. So in theory, we could shoot it all in Germany and pretend it's. I can't see that happening. But,
Just laminate some signs of the local Suffolk villages and just stick them up.
That's Norfolk. Yes.
There's comedy in that, Lord Ashens. There's comedy in that. And
unfortunately, this isn't a comedy, so we'd be in trouble.
Well, if you need someone to dress up as a dog and walk around in, no doubt, a very furry black suit, I'm your man.
We have had many, many people sending us photos of their existing suits and them wearing them. So
wow.
Yep, that is the thing. Some of the suits are really fucking impressive, actually. But
the weird thing is, someone once said, if you think it, someone's already done it, and it transpires. I'm late to the Black Shug party, which is embarrassing to say the least.
And some specific Black Shug ones as well. Yeah, it's quite specific.
Really? Oh, wow.
I've even got the lasers, Lord Ashens. Don't you worry about it.
That's new.
There's always one step ahead.
Hang on, they're at my eyes. Let me shift those so they come out my backside as he wanted. Absolutely perfect. There's so much stuff about you that we could disappear down a black hole all over the place with this, but we've loved having you on. You've been an absolutely legendary man. You've been very kind to us. Your journey through the burgeoning media of the internet has been one that has astounded many people. Does it? I think we've kind of touched on this.
In a good way, or
does it in a good way, Lord Ashens? Does it astound you sometimes? You wake up some mornings and have to pinch yourself and think, hang on a minute. I shouldn't be here, but I am.
Oh, really? You just get on with it. There's always work to be done, so you gotta do the work and make sure everything's working for everybody else, and then you go to bed again.
I guess a wise man always said, "You're always, no matter who you are, no matter where you are, you've always got a boss."
And mine is Google's algorithm.
Wow! Imagine that dressed up for an employee review.
It's just this like deep thought style computer the size of a city with a tie. It keeps trying to kill me, but my stuff's so eclectic, when it manages to kill part of it, it actually boosts up another thing from the back. One day I'll work it out. Yeah.
To prove he's down with the kids, he's probably no doubt wearing an aged Disney tie as well that he's still cranking out for laughs. I love those characters. Maybe I should get one. I don't know. Before we let you go, sir, and thank you again for even deigning us with your appearance. I thought it was one of RGT's fever dreams when he said that you'd actually agreed to come on the show, and here you are. It might still be, but you never know. To further prove that it is a fever dream, we would like to introduce you to a character we call Stingray. Growing up as children, he would deliver us our counterfeit DVDs, and he appears to us in different ways each time we see him, and he's different things to different people each time they see him too. It's time for a peek in what we affectionately call Stingray's boot, what's nestled between some counterfeit nappies and a dodgy copy of Battle for Endor this week. These are the new release highlights for the week December 4th to December 10th, 2023. Listeners, these are out in digital or physical, or will be by the time this podcast's in your feed, but could be Region dependent. Spring stop. Wow. Whoa. The Bluebird has arrived. Stepping out the door, I see. Oh my God, Ray, I can't believe you've done this to me. He's come as me, but with a singlet leotard on. And he's climbed out the side of his Bluebird with his son, Wayne Ray, above his head. And he's power slammed him onto the bonnet of the Bluebird, and he's gone for the 1, 2, 3. Looks like he's broken his son's spine. And like a classic 70s British wrestler, he's just basically took a big chug of skull.
Wow, oh, that's a reference.
Yeah. Oh. Do you think that one up front?
My dad used to be
for the kids there.
My dad. That's the audience we cater for. We say no to swears and hope of bringing the kids in, but they hear the skull and they're done. Yeah. If they've got this far, to be fair, we've done well for attention. Lord Ashens, pray tell, how are you seeing? How is Stingray presented himself to you on this crisp autumn day?
Difficult to see him. There's a lot of light behind him, and I can just make out a silhouette. But wait. He's raising above his head a pair of shears? Oh my God! He's the cover of The Burning, the classic VHS.
Wow.
Nasty. He is Cropsy from The Burning. Oh. His son needs to be careful of those shears, though. They look kind of rusty.
Wow. I tell you what, to coin a phrase, Harvey Retro just leapt up, span around, sat down, and now he's feverishly typing. He accurately described the front of that VHS. Oh, Harvey Retro, how we love you, sir. RGT, how are you seeing the mighty Ray today?
Always on point with Ray. So he's stepped out dressed in this quite detailed costume of a game child. Looks very good. Ray's struggling. He's had to lay in the back because he's dressed as a full-size Plebius machine. So he's just pulling his ankles. He's upright. He's okay. His head's quite low down near the coin slot, but he's managed to balance. So, yeah, very accurate game child and the Plebius machine. Fantastic.
His head would be in the coin slot. He's a devilish man.
Yeah.
Okay, he's popped his boot. Let's not mess around. Here we've got, what have I got here? Oh, yeah, I'm taking this. Born of Bread. It's coming out on the PC, December the 5th. Born of Bread is a wacky and joyful RPG adventure revisiting turn-based combat tropes. Play as Loaf, a flower golem, discovering this enchanting world of humour along with a colourful cast of buddies. What are you getting, RG? This is your mummy, is it not?
No. This is Tram Simulator Urban Transit, PC, December 5th. Welcome to Tram Simulator Urban Transit. Get on board. In this game, you take on the role of a tram driver and manager, drive 6 unique tram models, transport passengers, and drive them to the numerous stops. Plan your own routes, manage your timetables, and expand your tram network. Definitely not my mummy.
Mumsy, fire at the 486. We've got a game for Christmas.
Get his little hat out.
Let's hope it supports my sound card. Lord Ashens, what are you going to pull out the boot?
We've got Arizona Sunshine 2 for PC VR and the PSVR 2 for December the 7th. Take on the form of our dark-humoured protagonist once more and set out on this cinematic next chapter of our VR journey in search of answers. And what's better than braving the end of the fucking world? Hey, you wrote it, not me. Survive your best friend.
I did asterisk out the you.
How else can you say that?
Freaking, you could be like an ITV rehash of Aliens, a freaking world. Come on, you've written 3 books and numerous movies.
Yeah, but they all have that word in them.
I should have thought of this.
Surviving it with your new best friend, Buddy. Yeah, we thought it was an original name too. In a desolate world, suddenly you're not so alone anymore. It's funny how things go.
Feverishly reading through everything else. Right, thanks, Ray. Avatar's Pandora, Frontiers of Pandora, PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X, December the 7th. Avatar Frontiers of Pandora is a first-person action-adventure game set in the open world of the western frontier of Pandora. We talk about stomping a mud all dry, Lord Ashens, and Avatar's certainly going to do that.
Next up, we've got The Day Before PC, December 7th. The Day Before is an open world MMO survival set in a deadly post-pandemic America. And that was
So
it.
just America?
Yep, apparently so.
The rest of the world goes parties on, but poor old America, they've gone down the toilet. Wow. Lord Ashens, what's Stingray presenting to you now?
Ooh, Terminator Dark Fate. I say this correctly. Terminator Dark Fate. Defiance. PC for December the 7th. Terminator Dark Fate Defiance is a really bad mouthful. Come on, marketing guys. Just remove the Dark Fate bit. It's got a negative connotation anyway. Just use Terminator. Anyway. Defiance is a gritty RTS that puts you in the middle of the future wars between humanity and Legion's synthetic intelligent machine network. Legion? What?
Go with it.
Command and lead your army to foil Legion's plan to destroy humanity, or play as one of the 3 factions in skirmish and multiplayer.
Do you know what that reeks of? We've got this great RTS, but we don't think it's going to get the traction. Let's see if we can get, what license can we get? Jaws? No, too much money. Terminator? Surprisingly, that's cheap right now. Let's tack that on it.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. That's interesting, isn't it? Blimey.
I was hoping that would be okay. I was kind of thinking that might be my mummy because I like an RTS, but who knows? Ray's presented me this. It's Warhammer 40,000. This sounds like Games Workshop have started to crack down on their counterfeit figures. It's Warhammer 40,000 Rogue Trader out on the PC, the PS5 and Xbox Series X, December 7th. Join David Dickinson as he partners with the Games Workshop to rat out the fake characters, but apparently not. It's a story-rich classical RPG from Owlcat Games, developers of the critically acclaimed game Pathfinder, Wrath of the Righteous. So much faith in their new game that they've had to spoon feed in their other game just so you know that they actually make good games. Scary. RGT, what's last?
We have got Back Then, PC, PS4, December the 8th. Back Then is a first-person narrative game taking place in the mind of Thomas Elian, an elderly writer diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. And that would be my mummy. I quite like the idea of that. Sounds very interesting. A brave choice, but very interesting.
I think my mummy is going to be... I want to pretend I'm one of the cool kids and I need a reason to dust off the PSVR 2, which is probably not going to happen. So I think my mummy genuinely might be Tram Simulator. In a world of superheroes, sometimes it feels good to drive a tram when no one else will. So that's my mummy. Lord Ashens, may I urge you to pick a mummy from this veritable selection in Ray's boot?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm interested in a new RTS. I haven't played an RTS for years.
Do you know about Anno? Can I talk to you about Anno?
Oh, no.
Can I talk to you about...
This feels like the religious man who's turned up on the doorstep. What is this?
I thought he was over this.
Yeah.
I thought he was over this.
And what was it called, sorry?
Anno 1800.
Oh, yeah. I've seen that written on things.
Yeah. You've got to sort your supply chains between the Caribbean and you've got to use your sort of factories to build things up. Just give it a try. Ditch the story and go straight into sandbox mode. You will be rewarded.
By Jesus in heaven or by the game?
At this point, I'm willing to bet the farmstead on it. Jesus is coming down for a one-off guest appearance. Yeah, just to get someone else to play Anno. Although it's a big game. Other people, I'm sure, have played it. I'm sure there's a whole YouTube series about it. But yeah, so you're going with Terminator Dark Fate Defiance.
Mate, I think I might swap it for Rogue Trader, though.
Oh, wow, the David Dickinson.
Yeah. Because, I mean, Rogue Trader is the name of the original Warhammer 40,000 game book, back when it was more RPG than tactical almost. So I'm surprised they're really going back to that. Well, they're probably just going back to it with the name, aren't they?
Christmas come early for Lord Ashen.
But the problem is the Warhammer 40k license is like on everything, isn't it? I'm pretty sure I got the Warhammer 40k license by accidentally ticking an extra box when I was having a blood test or something. You know, it's just bloody everywhere. And there's so many games released with it on, but I like the idea of a sort of classical RPG. The Pathfinder stuff's meant to be good. Yeah. But the problem is, be going straight into it after Baldur's Gate 3, so it's probably going to suffer in comparison, isn't it? But damn it, I'll try it. Okay.
Careful what you say to Ray, because once you've tried it, he'll be back every week subsequently asking for money. I'm going to pick a retro VHS. I'm feeling a little bit sort of nostalgic. I think I've probably had this before, but I want to get Explorers on VHS. The movie of three kids who, I don't want to say too much if you haven't seen it, but they build a spaceship. It's absolutely brilliant. Thoroughly recommend it.
Good choice.
You can get it on DVD now. It's got River Phoenix in it and a few other characters. Lord Ashens, what are you taking out of the boot VHS-wise, sir?
Oh, well, as he appeared in the form of Cropsy, it's going to have to be another video nasty, isn't it? I'm going to go for Night of the Demon, not the M.R. James one from like the 50s, whenever they made that. The horror film from the 80s about Bigfoot that makes no sense whatsoever.
I have no idea what that is, but Harvey Retro just jumped in, turned around, did a little dance and got down and started typing on it.
I like the sound of this Harvey Retro man.
Oh, well, let me tell you now, he's actually got a YouTube channel called Enigmatic Productions, where they, him and his friend Johan go through and really look into the history of the film. They kind of do watch-alongs as well, but their content is absolutely brilliant. We did an episode with them back in the day where we did, was it movies as videos? I don't think you were with us, RGT, then, were you? We had was it me and Bobby?
I think was it you and Bobby or you and Tom? I can't remember now.
I think it was me and Bobby, and we did video games to movies, and then we did movies that became video games. And one which way round of that, Lord Ashens, they came on for, and it was absolutely brilliant. I think
Johan also organises. He done the film Clue, obviously based on Cluedo. He'd done a live show at a cinema where they showed the film, but you played along in the audience with the film as you went, and he'd organised all that, and that looked absolutely fantastic.
Very talented gentleman. And Harvey Retro could almost be described as like a David Bowie type character. We did a Christmas special called The Retro Man, which was a riff on the Snowman, and he did the Bowie intro at the start, which was absolutely... That's the sort of character you're dealing with here, Lord Ashens. It's something else.
Fantastic, yeah.
RGT, you've picked yours?
I have. As we were talking about Turn Back and we were talking about Evil Dogs, I've gone with Cujo. Haven't seen that for a lot of years and love to see that again. So I'll get the popcorn out and me and Mrs. RGT will sit down and watch Cujo again.
Okay. No sooner has he placed Cujo in your hand, I turn around and all I see is a sweaty and blooded wrestling singlet on the floor and nothing else. That's what the Ray does, to be honest with you. And with him gone, the only thing that's left on the horizon for me to say is, Lord Ashens of Serrations, sir, what are you hoping to play for this next gaming week?
Ooh, I'm going to play some more Baldur's Gate 3. I want to get to the end of the Dark Urge storyline, which I'm sure will end up like all the others, because Act 3 has that feel to it. What I want to play beyond that, I have really slept on. I can't even remember the name of the bloody game. There's Jedi Survivor, isn't there?
Yes.
And what was the one that came before it? Because I still haven't played that one either.
Oh, Jedi Fallen Order.
That's it, Fallen Order. I want to play Fallen Order and then Survivor.
I don't want to get controversial here, sir. Mm-hmm. Fallen Order for me, definitely start there.
Yeah.
But the storyline and the tightness and the momentum of the game actually makes sense. It feels like a cohesive Star Wars thing. The second one is very much a game, and you kind of lose a little bit of that. I don't know. The first one was a bit glitchy in a way, but it had this sort of naivety to it that harkened back to like the original Star Wars trilogy. It kind of had that sort of that feeling that you're on a journey, and by the time we got to the second one, it felt way more Hollywood, in my opinion. Who am I? Who am I? Those that game. Those that can't, podcast. Therefore, a go. I am here, and therefore my opinion is rendered literally nil.
It's got to be better than Force Unleashed 2. So
it's
Fallen Order, I thought was. I think it was.
You
more...
had to come in here with that, didn't you? That filth. Absolute filth.
Fallen Order's fantastic because I think after the first two efforts with EA and bits and pieces, I think once you get down to Fallen Order, it was one of them where you think, oh, hang on, this is actually really good.
Yeah.
They've actually made a Star Wars game, which you feel is in a Star Wars universe. And it is surprisingly really, really good game, Fallen Order. Really enjoyed it.
I mean, you play it how you want, but I found some quite... you go to a planet after the intro and everything, you end up going to a planet which is almost like your Dagobah, and it lets you learn your skills. And you can go back to any of these planets at any point in time, but I found myself going back there because as you unlock more skills in a Metroidvania way, the cliche is real, you were able to find more bits there. So you could unlock different parts that you couldn't jump to before, and the same thing happens across the levels, but I found that first one very rewarding in that regard. So I felt like I was going through my Jedi training. I very much felt like I was in that game, whereas the second one, I was playing the game. I know it's a very small distinction, but it was one that certainly resonated, because I was excited for that sequel, don't get me wrong, and it is okay, but that first one is magic. It really is. So
definitely.
A good Christmas game.
Yep.
It's got that vibe to it. RGT, what are you hoping to play, you sexy swine? G1 jockey?
Funnily enough, no. I'm
done with you.
Yeah, you made me go through that before. But anyway, Vice City live stream Tuesday again. We'll be continuing that. Me and Bald Border. I'll be playing more Stardew and Mrs. RGT. And I've also picked the game up. You love it. We watering our crops and walking into town holding hands.
I just think you should take it to bed. You should both go handheld.
Where's his head? And oh no,
it's not going anywhere. It's an innocent thing.
Anyway, and also I watched Scott on Marathon Gaming. Check out his channel on YouTube, very good. And he had a game which he'd bought. He was just doing some, going through his pickups, and he had one called Gear Shifters on the Switch, which I've picked up as well. That really looked interesting to me. It was that top-down retro car racing, but also was a side-scrolling shooter, if that makes sense. So you're a car on a road, but you're actually playing it like a side-scrolling shooter, like R-Type.
Well, weirdly, I had it was an Atari ST game called Overlander, where it was like a Mad Max thing, where you got so far, and I could never really get very far on the road. And if you got so far on the road, you went into like a side-scrolling, oh my goodness, like almost like Altered Beast, if memory serves. It was
really,
it was pretty awful.
I never knew that.
You kind of
got far enough.
You kind of did shooting when you got so far. You could then it kind of cut to another section. I like you, sir, didn't get far enough. But when I then Googled it, it transpired that when you get far enough in the car, you go into like a town or a neighborhood or something similar, and you kind of shoot your way through that.
God, just blown my mind.
It blew mine as well. And I'm
Stuart
sure
Atari ST's now coming out.
It was in the, if memory serves, it was in the Atari ST Power Pack. It's the only way I'd actually come across it. It was in there with blackjack and what was that little frog thing that walked up the tower? Not
Obulus, or something like that. Nebulous, something like that. Has a different name on the NES.
It was like a circular
I think it's
tower,
Nebulous,
and I remember the graphics being really quite Atari ST Power Pack games. Thank goodness for Google. There's a full set here for £44. My goodness gracious!
Yes, it is. It is Nebulous. Yeah,
Nebulous. Yeah, Double Dragon, Star Glider, Overlander, Super Huey, R-Type, Afterburner, Space Harrier, Bomboozle. I don't remember that. Bombjacker. I remember. You got the original Xenon, Gauntlet 2, Eliminator, Nebulous, Pac-Mania, Hang On. Now, that means that you struggled with the games Predator and Black Lamp.
Oh, Black Lamp's very pretty, but...
Did you notice?
It's fun to play.
I remember when I noticed as a small child that he kind of thrusts from his crotch area his projectile weapon.
Yep, so I didn't have the power pack. My friend did, and that is... we laughed at that and then never loaded it up again. Yep. Oh dear.
Was this really a game, or was this just a joint thing?
No. Blackjack was a thing. I wanted it to be cool because I wanted a Zelda on my home computer because all the cool kids had NESs. I had Blackjack and was ultimately disappointed, so played Jeff Cranman's Microprose Grand Prix instead. There you go. There's a tale of must try harder at my GCSEs. Might have got an Amiga.
I need to register an official complaint now because I've just watched an entire long play, very quickly, of Overlander, and there are no side-scrolling sections.
So what is this game?
Are you thinking of Technocop?
No, it was definitely a Mad Max game. I don't think Technocop has that sort of barren overworld.
Road Blasters does it?
Community corrections. Anyone listening who's on Discord, please add that in and
please let us know, and we can tell Lord Ashen's agent to let him know, to let his manservant know that the game of the
game. You're going to stumble at finding the agent part, I think.
His manservant,
his valet,
Batman. Yes.
Oh wow.
Oh dear. Oh, that's going to I wonder what that game is now.
Yeah, I will. Once we depart here, I'll roll up my sleeves and I will go full Sherlock Gnomes on the keyboard, and I will endeavour to find it to you and then pass it through your extended network so your valet can deliver it on a silver tray in a wax-sealed letter.
Tremendous. You could just email me; it'll probably be quicker.
No. It needs to be given the proper respect. And with that note, the proper respect, sir, should be paid to you. You're an absolute trooper. You've come on poorly, which, is a UK term for feeling not very well. You've battled through that. You've put smiles on our faces. You've even sometimes raised a little bit of smile at the things we said. And to be honest, I feel honoured. You should have just looked at me as if I was a piece of dirt on your shoe. And the fact that you haven't is quite the honour, sir.
I do.
Yeah. It's actually just an NVIDIA filter I turn on.
Oh, right. Just let me just engage Silent Assassin. Done.
This is AI, Stuart. He's already in bed. We've just been talking to his computer for 2 hours.
I tell you what, his algorithm is absolutely brilliant because I didn't know. It was perfect. He's obviously fed a lot of content into that. All joking aside, sir, thank you so much for deigning.
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks for that.
A third-rate Mickey Mouse show with your presence. You've literally elevated us to God status, and we thank you for that. You've fitted into the ongoing carnage very well, and you've survived. Not many people do. So my hat, if it was on my head, I would doff to you. I shall simulate a doffing. And I guess that's all we have time for this week, listeners. As always, thank you for your time. We look forward to the pleasure of speaking to you again next week. Until then, happy gaming. And remember, there's nothing wrong with being given the unofficial controller. It's what you do with it that counts. See you guys. Thank you again.
See you later.
Goodbye. Thank you. Bye.